If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started. Shabbat Shalom had a little technical difficulty there for a moment. A lot of that's been happening lately. I don't have no um, understanding of, how that happens at times. Maybe it's me. I will need to focus better. So we made it. We have made it to the end of the book of Ruth. I feel we have learned a lot in this book, especially when it comes to the kinsman redeemer and how the economics of the kingdom works, especially when we start discussing the third year tithe. Remember, there are many ways that Yehovah set up the finances of the kingdom. The way it works on the Sabbath day, on the feast, the offerings, and all those type of different areas, and of course, much more. So this is why the kingdom of heaven is not like any other kingdom. It's not like any denomination religious systems when it comes to the economics and the finances of how things work. So if we use the financial system that is set up by Yehovah, we would need to have all these bake sales and fish fries and all these ways of raising money because the people gave. They gave according to the way the system is set up sometimes, but it is set up that not only the needs are met for the teachers, but for the people itself. The community is set the way Yehovah set the economic system up. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom. We're working towards working and growing in harmony of the whole word truth. My name is Patrice Robinson. I greatly appreciate every last one of you who stopped by on today. And of course, I appreciate those who will be joining me on the replay. So, yes, we are in the book of Ruth. This is the last episode. I'm very excited that you have given me the opportunity to be before you when it comes to studying the word of Yehovah, because it's not always easy. And sometimes we need that support system to help us get there and get through the entire book. Though Ruth is a small book, there's so much in there that people are confused on. Why should I even study the book of Ruth? You should study the entire Bible. That's why it's given to us. So there's no question about that. But if this is your first time visiting me, I just want to say thank you for joining me on today. Your fifth time, your 50th time, your 400th time. Thank you for all the returning subscribers and all of you that, constantly support me and consistently support me. Those who, give comments and things like that. I greatly appreciate that. But I'm also hoping that those who joining me for the first time and or those who've been watching for a little while, that you're ready to join this family by hitting that subscribe button. You're ready to join this family that does not mind searching the scriptures, a family that does not mind challenging the religious system teachings that we have been under for hundreds of years, a family that's open to becoming a lifetime student of the Bible. So this is what this ministry is about. It's setting those biblical doctrines, understanding what is written, and without the addition of the tradition of man, taking all of that out and paying attention to the word as it is written. And I'm hoping that you're ready to join this family that is ready to explore the Hebrews of your Christian faith. There's no way that you can walk this journey and erase the whole entire Tanakh, but many of it is written, of course, in the New Testament. So again, as a remind you that it is easy to join this family. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. And don't forget the bell. The bell, of course, is there to let you know when I'm live, any announcements or any updates. So that's available for you to let you know I'm here. So again, I want to encourage you hitting that subscribe button. But that, of course, is not the only way that you can support this ministry. You most definitely can support this ministry by making comments, and letting us know that you hear, that you join me doing the live, you join me doing the replay. Also, making those comments are important because it lets me know you learning something, or you want to ask me a question about anything that I can address those. And share the link. Share the link when you're live. Share the link when you're watching on a replay, because if you're learning something, guess what? Someone else can learn something. Give me a thumbs up, especially when you're getting some insight, especially when you're learning something, especially when this biblical content that you're receiving, that you're enjoying. Follow me on the Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, YouTube podcasts. And don't forget the digital online shop that do not shop on the Sabbath day. On the other days, you're able to shop. Donate in the love drawer. Donate in the love drawer as a way of you partnership with me to grow in the ministry. And the ministry cannot grow without the finances. So the finances that I put in and the finances that you put in, and we most definitely can grow this ministry. So I greatly appreciate all of those who do donate in the love drawer, and of course do the shopping in the online digital shop. Those things are important. So everything that we spoke about when it comes to supporting the ministry, you can find that in the description box, and all the links that you need to support the ministry. And you can take a look at that while we're doing the live, and of course doing the replay. All that is available to you. I don't want you to forget, at the end of the teaching on today, you're able to ask questions about the teaching that's presented to you today. And you can send those questions along the way. I would just pin them and address those questions at the end of the teaching on today. I encourage you to send your questions. I encourage you to make comments. I encourage you, of course, to share the link so others can learn as we learn together. So we always begin with going over the previous chapter from last week. We was on Ruth chapter 3, and I'm going to pull my sheet up. So this is Ruth chapter 3. Very basic, straight to the point as usual. Naomi is trying to ensure Ruth's future, her security, because of course Naomi's not going to be here alone. And so, because she understands the kinsman redeemer instructions, she gives that information to Ruth so Ruth can move forward. Ruth offered herself to Boaz to honor the kinsman redeemer's instructions, to be his wife, that which went beyond the brothers, like the brother-in-law. It went beyond that to the brethren, the nearest kinsmen. So they expanded what that means. Boaz and the other kinsmen haven't said anything or done anything concerning the duty as a kinsman redeemer. So I put two dots on there because it was her, it was Ruth and Naomi, really Naomi, that put things into place. And because Naomi was showing Ruth the way, she was discipling her, Ruth now understands what she has to do. And Boaz recognized that she is kind even at the end. It was better at the end because she was pointing out their duty, what this should have been done. So Boaz sent Ruth home with a gift to Naomi. So he was not only taking care of Ruth, the situation, he was honoring Naomi. So he's go and handle the business of the kinsman redeemer. Just wait, we'll take care of that. So my insight is continually understanding the Redeemer, the Kingsman Redeemer. Um, the Kingsman Redeemer had to be related. The Kingsman Redeemer had to be able to pay the price of redemption, had to carry on the family name, marrying the childless widow, buying back family land that had been fortified, and buying a fellow Israelite out of slavery. And those are the only areas that we discussed. There are other areas as you do your research about the kinsman redeemer that is available for you, because Yeshua was a kinsman redeemer to the children of Israel. If you remember, I think it was back in Luke. I probably need to look that up, where the two disciples were going and Yeshua kept himself, they didn't recognize him, and they said to him, because they didn't know who he was, they thought that he came to redeem Israel, to set Israel free, to get the land back from the Romans and all those type of things. This is what the Messiah was coming to do. So that's what they were saying to Yeshua, who did not, that they did not recognize who he was, that he opened their eyes to the scriptures. So there are some things that we still have to continue to learn, and our eyes would be open, especially when it comes to how Yeshua is a kinsman redeemer to the children of Israel, and then he's a redeemer to the world. There's my cross reference. Deuteronomy 6:3 is that green check, meaning there's something that we have discussed and may not mean a cross reference. My word study, and the one question that I have not received from anyone that will be answered on today. Which of Naomi's sons were married to Ruth? No one has asked that question. And of course, that question will be answered in today's teaching in Ruth chapter 4. So I'm going to leave this up as usual to encourage you to share your questions, to share applications, insight, any word study, any key points that you want to address on today. So again, I'm going to leave that up while we are in Ruth chapter 4. So, chapter 4, we're looking at if there's any other connections, any other writings that we need to connect to help us understand Ruth chapter 4. On your own, make sure you're using your tools, that you're going through the Strongs, your Bible dictionary, all those type of apps, or anything that you need to understand Ruth chapter 4. We have to get a foundation of the word and be able to put it all together as a puzzle as it is. So, Ruth chapter 4, verse 1. Then went Boaz up to the gate and set him down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by unto him. He said, Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down, and he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. So Boaz went to the city gate and sat. He simply sat and waited till the kinsman who was closer, who was nearest, to come by, and he stopped him. Again, the city gate. The city gate is an important place. We have the elders, we have the leaders, we have the councilmen who will meet there. So the city gate is like the city hall. This is where government works. So, we discussed this, how important this was, how important to understand that this is government work that's going on. And we found this all the way back into Genesis with Lot in Genesis chapter 19, I believe it's verse 1. So you can find this in many other places of this meetings at the gate. As we discussed in Exodus chapter 3, the elders, we talked about this Tuesday, how Moses is going to meet with the elders. See, the elders have a significant role, always had a significant role in the body Messiah. Today, that role is still important. See, this is where the leaders come from. So I guess I'm not surprised that Exodus and Ruth and everything connects, because it's talking about the different ways that the body works, the instructions and how it works. So Boaz himself gathered 10 and sat down to discuss the kinsman redeemer business. This is 10 of the elders among Judah, among the Bethlehem area. So it is important, like I said, to understand the word and not get lost in it. Verse 3. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land which has our brother Elimelech, and I thought to adver- advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants, before the elders of the people, if thou wilt redeem it. Redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know, for there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I'm after thee. And he said, I redeem it. Again, Boaz is speaking to the kinsmen in front of the leaders, in front of the elders, the government, the council that's at the city gate, because this kinsman is closer than he is. Now, we do not know whether they were like nephews, cousins. We don't know how they related. These two kinsmen are related, but we do know they are. So this is why this discussion is going on. So Boaz is giving the one that's close an opportunity to redeem the land of Elimelech. Naomi's unable to maintain this land. It's just her and Ruth. She's unable to keep up with the upkeep of the land. And he agreed to redeem the land so that it will remain in the family. So again, this is back in Leviticus 25 that we spoke about different ways to redeem the land. So if your brother becomes impoverished and sells some of his property, his nearest kin may come redeem what the brother has sold or selling. So this is what is going on here in this area. So I'm sorry, Naomi is now trying to sell some of the land out because she can't afford it. She can't afford to maintain it or hire people. She needed someone to kind of help her do those things, and she did not get the help that she needed as a widow to understand ways to get that done. But she is selling some land. Verse 5. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the field and land of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabites. So you have to buy Ruth, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I marry my own inheritance. Redeem it thou might right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. So, in other words, if he redeemed the land and buys Ruth, he would have to have a child to inherit the inheritance up under Ruth, because that would be carrying that inheritance. And that will mess up his inheritance that he will be inheriting. So he didn't want to do that. Again, we're speaking about the kinsman redeemer, and we went through that list of qualifications. And some people might even have questions because, again, the kinsman redeemer, some of it is focused on Deuteronomy 25 when it's supposed to be in a brother, like a brother-in-law and things like that. But again, the children of Israel have expanded that to meaning any of the brethren within that tribe, that the nearest kin can redeem even the widow and not just the brethren like brother-in-law. And you will kind of see this in back in Numbers 27, so I can understand why they expounded. And kind of to me is like understanding the spirit of the word, that not just let the widow of who don't have any sons or any one to marry, just be impoverished. So if you read Numbers 27, there was a bloodline from the tribe of Manasseh who had no sons, but only daughters. And so, according to the Torah, the inherited land would normally go to the sons, no daughters. But Zohelahad had no sons, and so the daughters, talked to Moses and all the elders at the tent of meeting, asking for that land because he didn't have any daughters. And Jehovah said they were right. They do deserve the land because he didn't have any daughters. And so it also made it where they had to marry within the tribal land so that the land will not transfer to any other tribe. So I just want to point out verse 11 of Numbers 27. Maybe I should go further. Yes, let's go to verse 5. So Moses brought this case before Jehovah, and Jehovah answered him. And the daughters of Zohelahad speak correctly. You certainly must give them property as an inheritance among their father's brothers and transfer their father's inheritance to them. Furthermore, you should say to the Israelite, if a man dies, leaves no son, you ought to transfer the inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give inheritance to his father's brothers. And if his father has no brothers, give his inheritance to the next of kin from his clan, that he may take possession of it, that this is to be a statutory ordinance for Israelites as Jehovah has commanded Moses. So again, it's expanding if there is no brothers, if there's no um, other kin. So it's going towards all the way to the clan, whoever is the next of kin. So that's that kinsman redeemer possibility that we see in that's continually growing, and not leaving the widows um, impoverished. So I'm grateful that that was in place, because what would have happened to Naomi and Ruth? Because at this point, Ruth is now focused on marrying anyone else. She wasn't even focused on marrying anyone in the first place until Naomi brought it up to her. Ruth was focused on taking care of her mother in law and doing whatever she can do to keep them stable. She was not where she at this point she didn't even look for anyone to marry. Verse, not even a rich person, not even a poor person, anyone that could have helped them. She was not looking at that. Verse 7. Now, this was the manner in the former time in Israel concerning redeeming, concerning changing, for to confirm all things. A man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore, the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. So the writer now is explaining why the kinsman took off his shoe, because in the Torah, this is written that they should do that. So Deuteronomy 25, 7 through 10 is again, this is understanding Ruth chapter 4. But if a man does not want to marry his brother's widow or brethren widow, remember brethren is related kinsman. She is to go to the elders at the city gate and say, my husband's brother refuses to preserve his brother's name in Israel. He is not willing to perform the duty of the brother-in-law for me, or brethren for me. Then the elders of the city shall summon him and speak with him. If he persists and says, I do not want to marry her, his brother widow should go up to him in the presence of the elders, remove his sandals, spit in his face, and declare, this is what is done to the man who will not maintain his brother line. And his family name in Israel will be called the house of the unsettled. So it was a negative thing if you did not want to redeem your uphold the brother-in-law or brethren's um, instructions. So it was not good if you didn't want to do this. But for the brethren, they had options. Now, the brother-in-law didn't have options, because you remember what happened with um, Judah. Judah's family with Tamara and the two sons in Genesis. I believe that's Genesis chapter 28, when the Judah's oldest son had died because he wasn't doing right. Jehovah killed him. The second son was supposed to marry Tamara and give a seed for his brother, but instead he spilled his seed, and so Jehovah ended up killing him for that reason. So most definitely, it wasn't a good thing, and this is before the Torah. So I want you to keep this in mind. Many of the things that are written in the Torah, not many, but a lot of the things that's written in the Torah, some of the things were already practiced and already was in place. And did Jehovah give those instructions? He may have, because Abraham taught the instructions to his children and to his household, those who came alongside with him. So these instructions they were upholding may have came from Jehovah in the very beginning, but all put together, written in the Torah. Verse 9, and Boaz said unto the elders and to all the people, ye are witnesses this day, that I have brought all that was with Elamich and all that was in Chilions and Melions of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabites, the wife of Malon, have I purchased to be my wife to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead will not be cut off among his brethren, and from the gate of this place, of his place, ye are witness this day. And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. Jehovah make the woman that is coming to thy house like Rachel and Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephraim, Bethlehem. Remember, that's another name for Bethlehem. And be famous in Bethlehem. And let the house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, and the seed which Jehovah will give thee of this young woman. So there's a lot that's going on in these particular verses. But once again, we spoke about Tamar. So the people, the elders, all those who are witnesses, is basically trying to placing a blessing on Boaz and Ruth, just like Leah and Rachel. They build the house of Israel. It's amazing how they're blessing them like Leah and Rachel, because we know what comes from this bloodline. We know the Messiah is coming. So, and then Tamara and Perez, Judah end up being, the Judah, the son of Joseph, end up being a redeemer, although he wasn't planning on being, for Tamara, because he withheld the youngest child from her. So he ended up having actually twins by her, which is what the people are trying to bless him with, is put these blessings, because these people that they're speaking about what been a blessing for this tribe, and this is where Perez comes in. This is a blessing for this tribe. So this is why the people was trying to place a blessing. Verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went into her, Jehovah gave her conception, and she bare a son. I'm going to pause there for a moment. So the entire time, Ruth and Ophrah was in Moab with their husbands. There were no children. They did not bear any, so the womb was closed. So Naomi felt that's probably why she was struggling. Not only did she lose her husband and her sons, there was no seed to carry on that bloodline, that name. So she came back empty-handed, and very saddened. So I just find that interesting that the womb was closed at this time. So Jehovah know what he's doing. We might not understand what he's doing in our lives and why things are happening the way they're happening, but we have to learn to trust him like Ruth learned to trust him. Verse 14. And the women said unto Naomi, Blessed be Jehovah, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel, and he should be unto thee a restorer of thy life and a nourisher of thy old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which have loveth thee, which is better than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom, and she became nurse unto him. Again, the people is recognizing how valuable Naomi has been to how Ruth has been to Naomi. Naomi, Ruth has been very important to her, very supportive, very loyal, very kind, taking care of her, worrying about her, didn't leave her, could have married someone when she even returned back to Judah. She could have married a rich person. She could have left Naomi and moved on and didn't want to struggle anymore, but she stayed with her. Again, Naomi struggled in the beginning because she was not able to see the hand of Jehovah. But she let her see what needed to be done, which she spoke to Ruth. And this is why Ruth had a better chance. She was able to get a son that continues the bloodline that Naomi was so grateful to see. Boaz, he honored this. He was a man of honor. He was willing to allow the closest kinsman to redeem things. He was following the instructions. He was willing to step aside if that kinsman was wanting to do the duty, follow the instruction. He was also humbled himself and willing to admit that he was wrong. He didn't step up like he should have and have this already taken care of. The steps of redeeming the land and Ruth. The moment that the land came for sale, I think that would have been a perfect time for anyone to step up, whether it was Boaz, whether it was the one that was nearest the king. That was the time to step up. But it took Naomi to tell Ruth what to do in order for everyone to follow the instructions and understanding that this family is suffering and they shouldn't. That's not the way Jehovah's kingdom is set up. Verse 17. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, gave him a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now, these are the generations of Perez. Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Abinadab, and Aminadab begot Nahshon, and Nahshon begot Salem, and Salem begot Boaz, and Boaz begot Obed, and Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. As little do we know, this little information is important. It's important to understand the bloodlines, understand who is who. This alone, learning the bloodline can cancel out, break some traditions that are taught. Like the Jewish mother is the connection to consider to be Jewish. Yes, this is how it goes when it comes to the tradition, teachings of the Jews. But that's not how the Bible taught it. It's not written in the Bible that way. So we have Perez. Remember, Perez was a twin, which that's an interesting birth itself. If you haven't read that in Genesis, I recommend you to read that. So We're just going to go over a few names just to get an understanding. We're going to jump down to Salem, who is the father of Boaz. So again, Salem is the father of Boaz, but who's the mother? Who's the mother of Boaz? Rahab. You remember Rahab. Rahab was a prostitute, a harlot who assisted the spies that Joshua sent to Jericho. She hid them, remember? And again, if it is the mother that the connection of the Jewish or the children of Israel bloodline, that would mean Boaz would not be considered to be of the bloodline of Judah. He wouldn't if we go on by the mother. Then we have Obed. Obed, his name means serving. It's amazing how we are recognizing King David bloodline. His name means servant. H5744, if you look for that in the Strongs. And then we have David, the future chosen king by Yehovah over children of Israel. This is when there was one kingdom before the split of the kingdom. David, who is promised that his throne will be established forever. Who is this throne established with? Who is going to be this forever throne established through the bloodline of David? Yeshua, Jesus for some. So he's coming back as the reigning king, the king that will be forever. See, through Yeshua, salvation is offered. Salvation has always been offered through Yeshua. Remember, they were searching for salvation in the Tanakh and through the Old Testament. If you look that up, salvation is Yeshua. This is the reason why I tell you to use your Strong's, use your Bible dictionary, all those type of things, because he is there. In a lot of places, he is hidden. When he reigns, when the Messiah comes and reign again, the temple services, the temple, I recommend you to study Ezekiel. Of course, there's other writings, but I think in order for people to understand what Yeshua came to do the first time and what he's coming to do the second time, to understand the Hadashah, the New Testament, and Revelation, you have to take an account of the prophet's book. The church is nowhere spoken of. It is the body of Messiah. It is the kingdom of Israel and people joining in. The new kingdom, guess who's going to be doing the service in the temple? Not the church, the Levites. So that lets you know that the tribes are still alive, still today. This is why we grafted in. We don't replace or take over. We grafted in to become one as a bride of the Messiah. It won't be two brides. It's going to be one bride. And it's going to be all the believers together, just one bride. Now, usually from this chapter, a lot of people go into the teaching of Christmas, but we're not going there because we understand what Christmas is. Once again, if you can find the Christmas story in the Bible, I most definitely be the one who will honor it. I posed that question to me, that made that statement to many people who struggle with me not honoring Christmas the way they do. And so I know that's a struggle for many people. Besides the people that I know as believers, you're probably finding that same issue. So I'm all down for the Book of Ruth. I'm so thankful that you allow me to be before you for the past 6 weeks. that we have went through the book of Ruth. I don't see any questions at this time, but that does not mean you cannot ask no questions during the replay. I most definitely would love to have questions. I do not mind communicating and asking questions. This is why I went live. So, once again, there's no questions, and I'm hoping that you would join me Tuesday night, Torah studies, Exodus chapter 4 at 7 o'clock p.m. And next Saturday, we will do our annual end of year. I'm very excited about that, to share all the things I've been working on and share um, additional stuff about Reconcile the Kingdom. I'm very thankful for all of you who do support me. You just don't know how that takes things farther for the kingdom. So before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. May Yehovah bless you and keep you. May Yehovah shine his face on you and give you his favor. May he shine his face towards you and give you his peace. All in the mighty name of Yeshua. And have a blessed rest of the week. Until Tuesday, have a blessed day.